Edward woke up earlier than usual today. The sun had barely risen, but his heart was already racing with excitement. After spending 5 long years in the bustling town, he was finally going back to his village, a place filled with memories of simpler times and familiar faces. He quickly packed his bag, double-checked everything, and stepped outside. The city was quieter at this hour, with only a few vehicles on the road. Edward hailed a taxi and asked the driver to take him to the nearest railway station. As they drove through the empty streets, Edward couldn't help but think about his childhood. He pictured himself running barefoot through the fields, playing with his friends and helping his grandfather tend to the cows. At the station, the familiar sound of the train's whistle brought him back to the present. He felt a rush of excitement as he joined the line at the ticket counter. When his turn came, he asked for a ticket to his village and clutched it tightly, as if it were a gateway to his past. Edward had some time before his train arrived, so he walked to the platform and found a bench. He looked around, soaking in the sights and sounds. The hustle of passengers, vendors selling snacks and tea, and the rhythmic announcement of train arrivals and departures. Soon the engine whistle echoed again, signaling the arrival of his train. Edward stood up, his heartbeat quickening. He boarded the train, found his seat by the window, and settled in. The train started moving, slowly leaving the concrete jungle behind. As the scenery changed from gray buildings to lush green fields, Edward felt a deep sense of peace. The flat, endless plains gave way to rolling hills dotted with patches of trees. Rivers meandered gracefully, their waters shimmering in the sunlight. Small stations passed by, each one bringing him closer to home. He noticed farmers working in the fields, their hands busy with the harvest, and children waving enthusiastically at the passing train. A sense of warmth filled Edward's heart. These were the sights he had missed so dearly. Hours passed, and finally the train slowed down as it approached his destination. Edward leaned out of the window, eagerly scanning the landscape. The familiar sign of the station, Greenridge Halt, came into view. It was a small, quaint station surrounded by flower beds and tall trees, just as he remembered. Edward grabbed his bag and got off the train. The fresh village air greeted him like an old friend, carrying the sweet scent of wildflowers and freshly tilled soil. Standing on the platform, he saw a group of children playing near a pond and an old farmer carrying a basket of vegetables. Everything looked exactly as it had 5 years ago, untouched by time. He began walking down the narrow path leading to his village, which was flanked by tall, swaying trees. In the distance, he could see the small houses with thatched roofs, the temple bell ringing faintly, and the iconic windmill near the lake. The lake was a sight to behold, its crystal-clear waters reflecting the surrounding hills and sky. Edward stopped for a moment, remembering how he and his friends used to swim there during the summers. As he entered the village, familiar faces greeted him with smiles and waves. The elderly sat outside their homes, sharing stories, while young children ran barefoot, chasing one another. Edward couldn't help but smile. His family home stood at the edge of the village, nestled under a giant banyan tree. The house hadn't changed much, with its whitewashed walls and wooden doors. Standing there, Edward felt a mix of nostalgia and gratitude. After 5 years, he was finally home, surrounded by the serenity and love he had longed for. The bustling town had given him many experiences, but nothing compared to the peace of his village, the place where he truly belonged.